Welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of HorseshoeHuddle.com, and of course, your favorite co-host over at the Locked On Colts podcast. We are back with yet another film session breakdown for the channel this week. What can I say, guys? When the Colts win 40-6, I feel very inspired to keep making these quick videos for you guys to talk about certain aspects of the game that I was really a big fan of. And another thing I really wanted to focus on in this one was just how pivotal Josh Downs was to the Colts' offensive success. To give a little bit of background, the Las Vegas Raiders are a team that plays a lot of base defense, so a lot of three linebackers on the field, and they like to play a lot of soft zone coverage because they have a defense that's a bit on the cheaper side. I think they're like the fifth cheapest defense in the league right now. They're not filled with a bunch of talent currently on that side of the ball. So they kind of have reverted to a bit of the like old Matt Eberflus style of defense where we're just going to really bend, don't break. We're going to sit back in a lot of quarters coverage. And even if we do cover three, it's going to be like off cover three to avoid those big plays against. And these types of defenses are just prime for a player like Josh Downs to feast. I mean, they're giving up the underneath stuff, and Josh Downs thrives not only in matchups against linebackers and slot corners and safeties on the interior, but also just creating hidden yardage after the catch against defenses like this. So the first way the Colts got him involved here early in the game, we're just going to get a pretty simple speed out here concept against the off-man cover or off-zone coverage. So this corner is going to drop and just get to depth here, and the Colts are just going to do a little speed out with Josh Downs and have him turn the corner and get up there for a first down. Very simple stuff. It's just kind of a quick hitter just to get the offense moving. And this is where a player like Josh Downs is just super convenient. So again, we're reading the leverage of this corner off the motion. The corner's dropping off in leverage here. So again, getting outside, he's sinking a little bit deep. Daniel Jones sees this, quickly sets to the outside. 1-2 hitch, throw it out to Downs, and Downs able to turn upfield to get that first down for the Colts. So very simple stuff there, but again, a way to get Josh Downs involved, get 10 yards for your offense, and keep the ball moving. But plays like this next one here are exactly where Josh Downs was just deadly for the Colts. So the way that the Raiders played a lot of these sets, these formations that the Colts rolled out, so formations where they had two receivers to the right, but Downs, who's typically their slot receiver, to the other side of the field, instead of having their slot corner over here and like linebackers there and you're just going to like zone off this other side because the slot receiver's not there, they actually had their slot corner on that side of the field with the stacked look, right? Which is fine. I think that's normally how defense would play this, but what you're really leaving yourself vulnerable to here is the Colts isolating Josh Downs on the linebacker. Josh Downs against any linebacker is going to be an absolute win for the Colts, but against these Raiders linebackers, it was just deadly for them. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see a little bit of motion from Will Mallory, and Will Mallory is essentially just going to clear out here because once he motions outside of Downs, it puts Downs back in the slot. These guys are going to shift their coverage, so corners coming out to cover Mallory on the cheat motion. And it's going to isolate exactly what the Colts want, which is Devin White, a linebacker that hasn't had the best career, especially hasn't lived up to the draft hype that he had, against Josh Downs, the Colts' best route runner and best separator on the team. And it goes exactly as you would expect here for both parties involved. Josh Downs, again, we're going to see the cheat motion from Will Mallory. Mallory's just going to be running out the play here. And Downs is basically on an option route. He's reading the leverage that Devin White is giving him. So when White is overplaying this to the outside, Downs gives him a little shimmy, works to the inside, gets that separation, works up the field for a nice gain. And again, it gets the Colts ahead of the sticks. It gets them into those 2nd and 1 situations, 2nd and 2 situations, and it was vital for the offense. But easily the play of the game for not only Josh Downs, but maybe this entire Colts offense came on 3rd and 12 early in this one. And this is such a fascinating play call because we know what the Raiders want to do here. The Raiders, again, not the most talented defense, not the most expensive defense. So when you get this 3rd and 12 situation, they're just going to play the sticks. They're going to get everybody back to the sticks. He's going to open up and carry anybody to the sticks. We're going to get as many players back to the sticks there and just play heavy on the sticks, come up and make any tackle that is underneath. And that's tough for most offenses because when you're in 3rd and 12, you don't want to throw short of the sticks and rely on yards after the catch. So it is a difficult way to attack a defense because you can't just throw the ball past the 12 yards to get the first down. But the Colts say, you know what, bet we have a way to beat this, and that is our skilled playmaker in Josh Downs. So the Colts are perfectly fine throwing this ball short of the sticks and relying on Josh Downs to either get the first down with a superhuman effort like he does here, or at least get them into a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2 situation where they can convert from there. But what we basically see here is the Colts are running a clear outs for Josh Downs. We're getting the bunch look here that Josh Downs comes into. And Will Mallory is clearing out these guys, so we're making them gain more depth and back off the sticks a little bit. And Michael Pittman Jr. with his switch release is just running off the safety and the linebacker that's opening up to him. And with that, it creates the space needed for Josh Downs just to get out underneath, get the ball in space, turn up field, and make a play happen after the catch. And then from there, it's just all Josh Downs. I mean, this is just a superhuman effort, like I said. Getting the ball, he's 5-6 yards short of the sticks here, gets the ball here, makes a quick move and kills the leverage that this player is coming downhill with, and then just the spin move of the year. God, what a move. I mean, sometimes as a defender, you just have to laugh, looking back at the film, or just as anybody, you have to laugh looking at the film, because this is just a top-tier player making a top-tier play. But this is the difference between winning and losing in the NFL. Guys who can make these plays. This is a demoralizing moment for this Raiders defense. If this guy makes a tackle right here, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, or 4th and 6, 4th and 5, and the Colts are going to settle for a field goal there. But once Downs gets to here, the Colts are going to be in go 4th down territory, and then obviously that spin gets them into 1st down. So Downs just does it all right here, and the Colts trusted him with this play. Again, they're just clearing out the space here for him, and they're letting him work after the catch on this 3rd and 12. There's nothing intricate to get an open receiver past 12 yards. It's just getting the ball to Josh Downs and letting Josh Downs do his thing, and he's able to do it. And again, this is the beauty of this Colts offense, where you really can't scheme for any one guy. Like Tyler Warren wasn't even on the field here. You literally have Will Mallory here just running off a defensive back. You have Michael Pittman Jr. running off defensive backs, and then Josh Downs, who hasn't even been super active this year, is creating this kind of big time play for the Colts to get a 1st down, and that's just how they used him all game long. Another play here, we're going from a condensed formation, and as we see here, again, this Raiders defense that wants to live in base a lot of the time, they're actually going to be in nickel here. This is their nickel corner, but their nickel corner is playing to the backside with the motion coming over, and they're going to be playing zone coverage here on the back end. So with the nickel corner here, it's going to get the isolated look that the Colts are looking for, and we're going to go through the play once the motion goes through. So again, we got the nickel corner down here. And with this motion, the Colts are basically just doing a quick hit. It's 3rd and 2, and we're going to be reading this one conflict defender here. So we're going to have this kind of spot route here behind the zone, and we're going to have the swing route here. So it's really just a high-low read for Daniel Jones. If this guy attacks the swing route or attacks Jonathan Taylor in the flats, then we're going to throw it behind him where Josh Downs is sitting in that zone space. And if this guy sits and keeps his leverage beyond the sticks here, then you're going to throw it out in space and have Jonathan Taylor just run after the catch for the 1st down. But it's really just a one-man read. You're reading that conflict defender. 11 gets downhill in a hurry. He closes that space on Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones does a good job of looking off that player so he feels the need to get down there. And then it's all about fitting that ball in the window to Josh Downs, where Downs is just perfect in where he sits down on this route. He gets right to the sticks, turns around, makes himself available for the quarterback, gets low, and this ball is placed perfectly outside the shoulder pads, low, so this defender can't make a play on it. Downs gets the catch, and the Colts are able to move the sticks and go get points before the half. So again, just isolating Josh Downs on these routes, letting him find that space. Again, we're going to get the same exact play we saw earlier. So again, remember we talked about with Will Mallory, how they use that motion to get this corner off of Josh Downs. And this is just going to be Tyler Warren using that motion to get out wide and run vertical, just so we can get him isolated with a linebacker. We just need Josh Downs on these linebackers, because what linebacker in the NFL is covering Josh Downs? So again, we get him out there, getting that space. Linebackers peeling off from this look. Devin White's trying to make a play on the ball, but I mean, again, when it's Josh Downs, I don't know what you can really do here as a linebacker, especially when you're coming from this mugged look. You're coming from this mugged look over the line of scrimmage. Then you're asked to come out in zone coverage. You're playing inside leverage on Downs, and he just sits down in that open space. And from there, you're just at the mercy of Josh Downs at this point. So Josh Downs can do the Michael Pittman Jr. where you catch it and just back up and like he does to get that 1st down, or again, when you have a player like Downs, you're fine. This is like the no yes of football, where he loses space, comes back up, and then cuts up the field for more yardage. You don't want most players doing that because you leave the potential of losing yards there. But Josh Downs is one of the best players in football at creating hidden yardage for an offense. He's not a guy who's going to turn a 5-yard catch into an 80-yard touchdown, but he can turn a 5-yard catch into a 10-yard catch. And that's so valuable for an NFL offense. Just turning this look right here, he's got 2 defenders closing space on him, closing with eyes on him. Turning this into a 10-yard gain for the offense is massive. It keeps you ahead of the sticks. It keeps you moving forward, and it keeps you putting points on the board. So Josh Downs is just the do-it-all player. And then again here, we're just picking on the Raiders. I don't know. Going against empty with this nickel defense with 2 run stuffing linebackers, you just have no chance here for the Raiders. I get what they're doing. They just don't have many bodies right now. But when you're looking at empty personnel is essentially a quick hitting type of offensive scheme here. So you're going to be looking at weak side 2 and strong side 3 are your typical matchups in empty. And then you're basically just reading what these 2 defenders are doing, because these are your defenders that you can pick on in empty. These linebackers that just aren't the best cover guys. They're more run stuffers. A Landon Roberts here against Josh Downs. Devin White versus Michael Pittman Jr. And I believe they sliced the coverage down to Pittman. Yeah, so we're going to slice this coverage down to Pittman because the weak side. So essentially you're going to be bracketing this weak side guy, and that just leaves Josh Downs here. With this safety's way over top, he's not in any position to help here. Downs is just going to be running this option route against a linebacker with inside leverage. So what he's going to do is he's going to close that space, essentially step on the toes of the linebacker, open up his hips to the outside. He could have broken this route out. He's got a pure option here. He decides to sit a little bit, make himself available for the quarterback, and Daniel Jones delivers it. And then from there, again, once Josh Downs has you in this situation, it's just impossible to decide what you're going to do. If you go right for his back, he's going to spin off you and get upfield that way. If you try to stay a little passive, he's going to come back underneath and break upfield. I mean, he basically has you in a 2-way go. And we talk about how 2-way goes on the O-line and D-line is the worst situation to be with no help. And this is what the Colts wanted. They wanted to isolate these run-stuffing linebackers with their superhuman slot receiver, and he just makes the guy miss, again, gets up the field, gets another productive 10-yard gain, and the Colts are able to stay ahead of the sticks, get another first down, and keep the offense moving. So, Josh Downs is not a player who's going to put up these gaudy numbers. He's not going to go for, 1,200 yards like maybe some people expected prior to the season. Heck, I predicted a 1,000-yard season from him because I thought this would be the entire bulk of the Colts offense. But with the offense being so lethal this season and so diverse, a player like Josh Downs is able to just be this top-tier role player. And when you go against defenses like this that want to sit back, play a little bit more zone coverage, they're scared of the over-the-top ball, Josh Downs just feasts against these linebackers, feasts in these underneath matchups, and he creates that hidden yardage that keep the offense moving. So when we're looking at the biggest factors for why the Colts had 6 straight touchdown drives on Sunday, obviously the special teams and defense giving them opportune moments to get down the field really helped, but a player like Josh Downs keeping them ahead of the sticks, keeping them on pace, converting on third down, he was arguably the most important player on offense for the Colts on Sunday. So even if it does, again, feel like he's having a bit of a quiet season, Josh Downs has just been fantastic for this Colts team. And on Sunday, I thought he was the best that he's been all year long. And hopefully he can build off this and have even more great performances going forward. But yeah, Josh Downs, if anyone's wondering like, oh, where's he been? He's been doing Josh Downs things, and he really showed it on Sunday. I thought he was just fantastic all game long.